Welcome to Task IS. Today we will discuss Unit 1.5 Characteristics of Primates. These are subtopics: characteristics of primates, how their evolution have happened, primate taxonomy, their adaptations, and primate behavior, living major primates, comparative anatomy of man and apes, and skeletal changes due to erect posture and its implications. From this part and from last class, that is human evolution, you have idea that these evolutionary chapter have a difficult terminology, but by repetition of same terminology I will try to make you understand as well as remember these factual parts. So without any further delay, let's start today's session. Another piece of information is that PDF of all ethics as well as anthropology lectures are available in our Telegram channel, and link of that channel is given in description of video, so you can enjoy those PDFs as well, and so that you can organize your preparation in less duration with more efficiency. Now, primate study. Firstly, primates are multicellular animals, are mammals with a rather generalized anatomy. So they are classified into mammals category, and actually there are so much variations within primates, so that they are classified with some kind of generalization. These terms and these statements will become more clear as we progress. Two categories can be distinguished between primates. Firstly is prosimians and second is anthropoids. Actually, primate is order and these are suborders. Prosimians and anthropoids. Prosimians means lower monkeys, in which tree shrews, lemurs, lorises, tarsiers, these are included. Anthropoids or higher primates, in which New World as well as Old World monkeys and men are included. As we progress, I will define what are New World monkey, what are tree shrews, lemurs, all these will terms I will define later bit by bit. There are many characteristics which are common to both the groups of primates. So primate is classified into two, where prosimians have primitive characters but anthropoids have more evolved characters, and human being is classified into anthropoid category. Humans are closely related to great apes as shown by anatomical, molecular, behavioral evidences. So as these ancestors of human are closer to human being, so to understand how human evolution have happened and how these ancestors are closely related to human being, we have to study their ancestors. That means from our ancestors we can understand why our biological features or our behavioral aspects are like these, how these traits have developed. For example, how our present cranial capacity has developed, how our facial features are like these. So all these things we have to discuss, and to understand these things and to understand man's biology in better way, we study their ancestors including great apes or another monkeys as well. So by anatomical, molecular, behavioral evidences, in spite of many typical characteristics in which they differ from each other. Of course, as evolution has happened, there are so much differences between ancestors and current human species, but to understand human being, we have to go into past. The human behavior, including that of extinct hominids, can be better understood and interpreted from the studies of non-human primates. This has to be goes from the findings of the field investigations among non-human primates and their studies, especially on their activity pattern, socialization, mating pattern, reproduction, parental care, territory, communication. All these features of our ancestors, including hominoids as well as non-hominoids ancestors, both have been included, and these characters are studied. So if I say that extinct hominid species, so that means some species under genus Homo, they have been studied and they now have become extinct. For example, Neanderthals, Homo erectus. About these creatures we will discuss in next unit. And some non-human primates, for example monkeys. So we have to study about all of them. So how these non-human primates have evolved into extinct hominids, and then how these extinct hominids have earlier evolved into present human being. All these evolution pattern we have to study. These behavioral aspects have been examined among such non-human primates as rhesus monkey, baboons, great apes. So all these have been studied. When we focus and also examine what we have learned from these investigations and studies, so we can take example of rhesus monkey. So study of this particular species helped in discovery of Rh factor. Rh factor, which has been found to be hereditary in Homo sapiens. This Rh factor is related with our hemoglobin, where consider O positive, O negative. These are blood group variations of O, particular O group. So if someone have this Rh factor, then that individual will be called as Rh factor positive, that is O positive. But if that individual lacking Rh factor, then it is O negative. So if we transfer blood from a negative Rh negative person to Rh positive person, this positive sign can be, or this positive factor is actually is related with all blood groups A, B, AB. So this can be positive and negative in all cases. So if this negative blood group is transferred to positive, then it's fine. But if positive group is transferred into here, then this negative person who lacked antigens of Rh factor, then this will produce antibodies. So for successful blood transfusion, successful blood, or even in case of organ donation, these factors have to be studied. And another case is erythroblastosis fetalis. So this is a disease that I will discuss in unit 9, but that also related with understanding of Rh factor, where a woman, if she is Rh negative but her husband is Rh positive, so during delivery time, if their child have Rh positive factor, then Rh factor, these antigens can be transferred into mother's body, and this will be harmful for that woman. And later on, if consider see that woman is pregnant for second time and this child is Rh negative, so again this child also lack Rh factor antigens. So if consider these Rh positive antigens which have transferred in that mother from first child, these factors can be transferred into second child, but immune system of this second child is very weak and this child lack Rh antigen. So now this fetus will not survive and chances of miscarriages are very high. So this problem is called as erythroblastosis fetalis. I will discuss in detail later, but this is the whole concept. So now you have understood that actually it is very important to understand our non-human primates as well. And if I consider about more closer great apes like chimpanzee, so DNA studies have shown that actually around 98% of DNA of chimpanzee and human is very similar. So to understand about our genetics, we have to understand genetic features of our close ancestors as well. Now definition and common characteristics of primates. So even today classical definition of order primate, which was given by Mayward in 1873, is now still holds good. So primates cannot be easily defined as they are characterized by a combination of primate features, because actually there is so much diversity within primates, so there is no single definition. But by combining their common features which are present in majority of members. Their definition is given. So unguiculate, that is having one or more nails or claws. This is nail. This is nail. You can look on your finger as well, but in claws, actually if this is finger, then claws are like this. So these are generally observed in primate. Claviculate is a collar bone that is present in our shoulder. So this bone is generally found in all members of primate. Placental mammals having placenta and their orbits are encircled by bony rim, as we observe in our eyes as well. 3 kinds of teeth, that is incisor, canine, at least 3 kind. So premolar, molar, and brain always with a posterior lobe and clarica and fissure. So brain have more specialization, where posterior, that is backward portion, have a lobe and also some kind of fissure. The innermost digits of at least one pair of extremities opposable. For example, great toe, that is toe of legs of primates is opposable. So their plane of thumb is different from other fingers. This is generally observed in primates. Now hallux with a flat nail or none, a well developed cecum, that is part that is related with our small and large intestine. Penis, testes, always 2 pectoral mammae. So according to Mayward, these are some of the characteristics which define primate. Next is anatomy of primates, enable them to maintain semi-erect and erect postures and locomotory patterns. They have different locomotory patterns like brachiation, quadrupedalism, knuckle walking. So different patterns are observed. We will discuss about them later. They have pentadactyl hands and feet, that means 5 fingers as well as toe. They have flattened nails on each of their digits, excepting tree shrews, because in tree shrews like these claws are observed. They possess a relative low density of body hair instead of fur, because in earlier fur was observed, but in primates they have body hairs. So now think that we are discussing about primates, but as a evolutionary trend, we are also discussing how primates have more evolved features as compared to their ancestors. They have fewer tactile hairs. The olfactory area, that is part of brain which is related with smell of the brain, is reduced. They thus have increased dominance of vision over smell and reduction in length of the nose or snout. So if we discuss about face of any primate, then this kind of more projected face is observed, but that part is reduced. And when we observe about human skull, then this is actually very much straight. So these kind of nose and these features are observed. The visual of the area of their brain is expanded. That means now their brain has specialization work for vision, that is binocular vision or stereoscopic vision. So here both left as well as right eye can focus on any particular object. That will give more clarity on vision of that particular object. And their eye sockets are completely encircled by a bony wrist to provide some kind of safety. So these are bony wrists and these are eyes, and spatial feature, that is stereoscopic vision. Next is they show an increased reliance on stereoscopic vision at the expense of smell, that I have explained recently. They have pseudo and true opposability of the thumb and the great toe. That means in their leg, their thumb is very much opposable, but in case of human being, this thumb is in symmetry with the other fingers. They are widely separated from them, that is fingers and thumb are widely separated. Usually they have both these digits on hand and feet opposable for grasping purpose. And what is grasping? And what is manipulation? So we do a lot of manipulation, but in primates mostly grasping work is seen, and this is kind of advancement or evolution in using our hand. Some have prehensile tails also, that means their tail will help in locomotion. That means when monkeys or lower apes, they will transfer from one tree to another, that time they use their tail as a support system to climb from one branch to another. They possess relatively large and complex brains, as they have a lot of tasks, and specifically with vision part and more evolved language or communication, we can use these terms. So that's why their brain become more complex. Most female primates have a simple unicornuate uterus. That means their uterus have only one side. That means now there are two lobes in uterus. These kind of features, and these two fallopian tubes are observed in human uterus, but in most of the female primates only one lobe, that means one is lacking and only one lobe is present. They are placental mammals with longer gestation period and generally give birth to only one or two infants at a time. So as evolution was progressing, these primates are more evolved mammals, and due to large size, especially more cc, that is cranial capacity, and increased functional capacity of brain, so now their body size and specifically of the brain has increased, and that led to reduction of the number that a female can produce, because these large size individuals, only one or two can survive in limited size of uterus. And all these features are similar to human being, have a longer gestation period, because in longer gestation period all these evolutionary features will develop. So if human being is more evolved, then in embryo of human being, that is from fertilization to development of a new young one, it will take a long period of time to develop all those features with specialization of every tissues and organs. Their infants have a prolonged physical and emotional dependence upon their mothers due to this longer gestation period and dependency of child on mother for longer period. They have a longer period of infant dependency and parenting. They have prolonged growth and maturation periods and long lifespans. They display a reduction in the number of teeth. They have an incisor, premolar, less in each half of their upper and lower jaws. That means from their earlier ancestors, now their number as well as size of teeth is reduced, because now they are using other tools like stone tools they are using. So now they have more advancement in technology, that's why use of their teeth for cutting or grinding is reduced. They have retained a primitive clavicle. They possess a separate radius and ulna in forearm. So in their hand, these two bones, that is radius and ulna, is present. Even in a human being also similar structure is found, and similarly tibia and fibula. Tibia is a long bone in our leg, so tibia and fibula, these are found in our lower legs. Exceptional is tarsiers. They show reduction in the length of their external tail, again because now primates have more evolved, and they actually their forelimbs and hind limbs are more stronger, so that's why their feature of tail, functionality of tail has reduced. They possess a shortened vertebral column, because earlier ancestors like reptiles or the early ancestors like dinosaurs, so they are very large individuals, so that's why they have long vertebral column, but these have short vertebral column. So this is talking about primates as a common characteristics, but later on we will discuss about characteristics related with particular subgroups, suborders like prosimians, then anthropoids and their particular parts, and also in case of anthropoids we will also discuss about hominoids. in which human is placed. Now before starting next topic, have a look on this geological time period. So in every era there is a period, and in every period there are many epochs. So era is most higher scale of time, and in every era there are lots of period and further reduction in epoch. Now currently is Cenozoic era is there. In Cenozoic era there are two periods, Quaternary and Tertiary. So Quaternary is most recent and Tertiary is older. These two are part of Cenozoic era. So now Tertiary period, it also divided further into different epochs: Paleocene epoch, Eocene, Oligocene, Miocene, Pliocene. And now Quaternary is divided into Pleistocene and Holocene. As I will use these terms now, so you should have some understanding that what is these terms is all about. And if I discuss regarding how human evolution and these periods and epoch are related, then during Pleistocene, Homo group or Homo genus was originated, and here some Homo habilis and Homo erectus, these were found out, and also Australopithecus bossei, that is one of our ancestor. Its features are also found out from this time period. And during Miocene there are some famous hominoid ancestors. Actually they were considered earlier as hominids but later on as non-hominoid ancestors, and these are Ramapithecus, Dryopithecus and Giganthropus. So these are some of the ancestors and we will discuss about them later. So now evolutionary trend and taxonomy. First, primate like mammals are referred as proto-primates. So some earlier ancestors were considered as proto-primates because they have some features which are related with primates, but most of their features are very primitive and they not developed characteristics which are particular to primates. So they were roughly similar to squirrels and tree shrews in size. That means they are not like particularly like apes or monkeys that show particular characteristics of primates. The existing fossil evidence mostly from North Africa is very fragmentary, so evidences are not actually accurate. These proto-primates will remain largely mysterious creatures until more fossil evidences become available. Even we can use this statement for human evolution as well, because from past excavations and analysis we can arrange order of human evolution and their ancestors. But if we want accurate descriptions, then more studies, more excavations are needed, and as time goes we will have more fossils to understand human evolution better. The oldest known primate like mammal with a relatively robust fossil record is Placiadapis. So this was first fossil, but again remember that I am telling you all these points to make you understand these concepts better, that how evolution of primate as a group, primate as an order has taken place. But you don't need to write all these points in answer, but have a draft in your mind so that you can understand these concepts. So Placiadapis, although some researchers do not agree that Placiadapis was a proto-primate, fossils of this primate have been dated to approximately 55 million years ago. Placiadiforms had some features of teeth and skeleton in common with true primates. Of course, they have some features, that's why they are categorized into primate category, but their most of the other features are most primitive. They were found in North America and Europe in the Cenozoic, going extinct by the end of the Eocene. So I have discussed about Eocene period. So it was second last from bottom in the Tertiary period. Now, the first true primates were found in the North America, Europe, Asia, and Africa in the Eocene epoch. So, you can remember that from Eocene time period, true primate characteristics were developed. These early primates resembled present-day prosimians. So, prosimians looks like this. So, such as lemurs, evolutionary changes continued in these early primates with larger brains, eyes, smaller muzzles. So, as evolution progressed, their eyes and brain size increased, small and brain which is related with the work of smell or olfactory lobe that's reduced, and now their muzzle size, that means this kind of prognathism, those parts become reduced and more kind of flatter face emerged. By the end of the Eocene epoch, many of the early prosimian species went extinct, maybe due to cooler temperature or maybe competition from the first monkeys that later emerged. And some theories also talked about adaptive radiations. That's why different primates evolved into different kind of species. Evidence shows that anthropoid monkeys evolved from the prosimians. So now I am talking that firstly how prosimians developed, and after that how anthropoid, because primates are divided into two, prosimians and anthropoids. So prosimians have more primitive characteristics and anthropoid have more evolved characteristics. So now I am telling that how anthropoid monkeys evolved from prosimians during the Oligocene epoch. So we have discussed that during Eocene epoch some primitive characters, true primitive characters developed, and they were like present day prosimians. But during Oligocene period anthropoid features starts developing, and it was around 35 million years ago. Evidences indicate that monkeys were present and they were old world features, and this old world term is related with Africa and Asia. And in the new world, that is South America, 30 million years ago these characteristics were found. So new world, that is South America, and old world, that is Asia and Africa. Remember these terms because I will use them frequently. New world monkeys are also called as platyrrhine. So platyrrhine means broad nose. Old world monkeys and apes are called as catarrhine, that means narrow noses. So there is still quite a bit of uncertainty about the origin of the new world monkeys. But yeah, from these periods, new world and old world, actually this is related with geography, but there is uncertainty. But some hypotheses are given, like at the time of the platyrrhine arose, the continents of South America and Africa drifted apart. So this is related with our geography knowledge, that is plate tectonics. Therefore it is thought that monkeys arose in the old world and reached the new world by drifting on a log rafts or mangrove floating or through migrating through islands. So now this is an hypothesis that in old world, especially in Africa, these primates originated, specifically platyrrhines, and they migrated to new world, that is in the South America. And these are the old world monkeys. So now you can observe some features. Old world monkeys, that means they have narrow noses. Due to their reproductive isolation, this term reproductive isolation, that means some kind of barriers present between species, and that those barriers led to reproductive isolation. That means there were some barriers due to which reproduction between those different groups can't take place. New world monkeys and old world monkeys underwent separate adaptive radiations. I hope you remember meaning of adaptive radiations over million of years. So now they start adapting to different environments. The new world monkeys are all arboreal, that means tree living, whereas old world monkeys including arboreal as well as ground dwelling species. So that means terrestrial. Apes evolved from the catarrhine in Africa midway through the Cenozoic during the Miocene epoch. So it shows that actually I have discussed earlier that during Oligocene epoch, it was observed that anthropoid characteristics starts developing. So now it is telling that it is actually apes starts developing from catarrhines, and that was take place during Miocene epoch. So that means from old world monkeys now apes starts emerging, and it was during approximately 25 million years ago. Apes are generally larger than monkeys and do not possess a tail. So now we are discussing some characteristics. They don't have tails generally. All apes are capable of moving through trees, although many species spend most of their time on ground. So they have both arboreal as well as terrestrial adaptations. Apes are more intelligent than monkeys. So now you can think that it is monkeys, then after apes, and then after humans, as they have relatively larger brains proportionate to their body size. So with brain they can do more intelligent work. The apes are divided into two groups: lesser apes, and second one is great apes. So lesser apes include mainly gibbons and siamangs. These are two mainly famous well-known lesser apes, and their family includes Hylobatidae. The great apes include genera Pan. That means here in great apes main species are chimpanzee, gorillas, orangutan, humans. Now along with these species their genera is also given. For example, chimpanzee and bonobos are in genera Pan, gorillas in gorilla, orangutan in pongo, and humans their genera include Homo, that is name of genus. The very arboreal gibbons are smaller than the great apes. That's why they are included in the category of lesser apes, that is gibbon and siamangs. They have low sexual dimorphism. That means there is difficulty to identify different sexes, and they have relatively longer arms used for swinging, brachiating through apes. If they have longer arms, then they can use these arms to brachiate, that means to move from one branch of tree or from one tree to another tree. So this is some kind of adaptation for arboreal life. Now early human evolution. So now we have discussed till apes. Now human evolution. So modern humans and chimpanzee evolved from a common hominoid ancestor. This is found out from a study, and they diverged approximately 6 million years ago. So before discussing human evolution, I want you to make understand about how this classification of primate is going on, because it is necessary to understand taxonomy of primates. These are level of organization of any particular organism. So firstly is kingdom. So in every kingdom there are many sub kingdoms, and in sub kingdoms there are phyla, and further on. So phyla, after that classes, subclasses, order, suborder, superfamilies. So this is a major classification. Firstly is kingdom Animalia. So there are two subkingdoms, protozoa and metazoa. In protozoa only single celled organisms are there, but this is metazoa where complex organisms are found. So now phyla. So as we can see in subkingdom metazoa there are many phyla. So but we have to focus on only one phyla that is important for us, and that is vertebra. Because Anthropoida, Chordata, there are a lot, but we have to focus on that particular phyla which is related with human being. So actually we have to reach from Animalia to human being. So we are tracing that path. So now subphyla is vertebra. So there are different classes, but only one class, that is Mammalia, that is important for us. So Mammalia we have reached till class. So in Mammalia class there are different subclasses, but we have to focus on Eutheria or placentals. So in that subclass again there are many orders, but we have to focus on order, that is primate. So in the beginning when I mentioned that primate is a level of order, so now you can link that how primate is an order. Now in primate there are two suborders, that is Prosimy or Anthropoidea. So when I mentioned prosimians, so they are particular suborder species. Now when we go at subfamily superfamily level, so prosimians are divided into three, that is lemurs, lorises, tarsiers, and their families are Lemuroidea, Lorisoidea, and Tarsioidea. If you face difficulty in remembering family's name, then simply remember name of these characteristic organisms, so that you can define their features later. Now Anthropoidea, now superfamilies are Ciboidea, Sarcopothecopoidea, Hominoidea, and here New World monkey, Old World monkey, apes and humans, and you can use also Platyrrhini and Catarrhini and apes and humans. So from this kingdom level we have reached till human being. Also remember this major classification, that is kingdom, phyla, classes, order, suborders, and superfamily. Please remember these last three levels in detail. Now primates, this is a simple one so that you can draw this in exam. So primates, they are divided into two suborders, prosimians, anthropoids, now lemuriforms, transiforms, and three divisions, lemurs, lorisers, and tarsiers. Now anthropoids, they are divided into two, platyrrhine, catarrhine. After that, New World monkey, Old World monkey, apes and man, which are included into hominoids. So you can draw this chart. Now human evolution. So we have discussed how prosimians originated, after that New World monkey, Old World monkey, and also after that we have discussed about apes. So now we should focus on human evolution. So this hominoid genus or genus Homo, how these originated, now we will discuss. So family Hominidae of order primate includes chimpanzee, humans, and other apes as well. Evidences from the fossil record and from a comparison of human and chimpanzee DNA, this suggested that humans and chimpanzee diverged from a common hominoid ancestor approximately 6 million years ago. So it shows that they have a common ancestor and only recently they have diverged from each other. And also remember that DNA of human and chimpanzee also suggests that they have 90% common DNA. Several species evolved from the evolutionary branch that includes humans, although our species is the only surviving member. Because in genus Homo, only species, that is human being, is surviving. The term hominid is used to refer to those species that evolved after the split of the primate line, thereby designating species that are more closely related to humans than to chimpanzees. So it shows that how this divergence line led to development of some particular characters in human being. So if you can understand, then this is Paranthropus, Australopithecus, now Homo habilis, Homo erectus, Homo heidelbergensis, Homo sapiens neanderthals, and Homo sapiens sapiens. So I have described them here, but actually detailed explanation I will give in next unit, where I have to discuss them in detail. So but from their face you can realize that actually now this face have more symmetry. Here this part is asymmetrical, and also now the prognathism part is reducing when we go from top to down. And how this part, forehead part, now this forehead is a must, but here is receding forehead. Also regarding nose, these have some kind of wider noses, as well as their nose is open, very open. But when we look at here and here, they have some kind of slope here. So these features we will discuss later. Now hominins who were bipedal in comparison to the other hominids who were primarily quadrupedal includes those groups that probably gave rise to our species. So it is saying that actually earlier our hominid ancestors like Australo, they have quadrupedal locomotion. That means they move on four legs. So they use their hands as well for locomotion, but in human being only legs, that is two legs, are used for locomotion. Australopithecus africanus, habilis erectus, along with known ancestral groups such as Australopithecus bossei. So these are name of our ancestors and we will discuss them later. Determining the true line of descent in hominins is difficult. In years past, when relatively few hominin fossils have been recovered, some scientists believe that considering them in order from oldest to youngest demonstrate the course of evolution from early hominins to modern humans. But as I mentioned earlier also, that we have to wait and then analyze newer excavations to give accurate results. In the past several years, however, many new fossils have been found. It is possible that there are more often more than one species alive at a time. So it is again saying that there are so much possibilities and we can't give accurate results till the excavations are over. Now, very early hominins. So there have been three species of very early hominids which have made news in the past few years. Firstly, it is actually Sahelanthropus sudanesis, and this is actually discovered from Sahel region of Africa. That's why this name. And this is dated around 7 million years ago. There is a single specimen of this genus found in Chad. The fossil is also known as Taumai and it have primitive as well as evolved characteristics, primitive characteristics of apes and evolved characteristics of human being. The line leading to modern humans and modern chimpanzee apparently bifurcated around 6 million years ago, as we have discussed. The second and another younger species that discovered around 5 million years ago is actually its age is around 5.7 million years ago, and its name is Ororine tugenesis. Is a relatively recent discovery found in 2000. There are other several specimens of Ororine also found. Now third genus is Ardipithecus ramidus and it is excavated and its age is around 4.4 million years ago and it was discovered in 1990, but as Ororine is discovered in 2000, then after analyzing their characteristics their order has been now changed. Scientists who discovered the first fossil found that some other scientists did not believe the organism because there were doubts regarding bipedal nature of locomotion of this particular species. In the intervening years, several more specimens of Ardipithecus also find out. So same in the Ardipithecus, this genus, other species like Ardipithecus kadapa in 5.6 million years ago age demonstrated that they were bipedal. Again, the status of this genus as a human ancestor is uncertain, but as they were bipedal, so now there are doubts that yes, they can be hominoid. So but more analysis, more excavations are needed. The hominin Australopithecus evolved around 4 million years ago and it is believed to be ancestral line of genus Homo because they show tendency towards bipedalism.